Hi, welcome to 1 Kings chapter 3. And for those of you who don't know, my husband and I work with a ministry called Master Plan Ministries, which is primarily a college ministry. And we work on a team here in Denver with 40,000 students on the Auraria campus. And just last week, there was a street preacher on campus, which happens multiple times a year. And the ambulance had to be called, and there was a fight that broke out. And usually when there's street preachers on campus, they have a huge group that gathers around them, 100 students or more. And it's just a very interesting thing because it causes so many different reactions. And a lot of times when Christians do things differently, the way that maybe we wouldn't do it, or a way that we think is just not the best way to do it, we can easily resort to bashing other Christians, right? Or if somebody tells us a story about how this person said that to them and that's why they hate Jesus now or something, we can easily try to bash that other Christian that did that to them without really knowing the full scope and really what happened in the situation. And a lot of times we tend to see things in terms of all good or all bad. And this is something that Dr. Henry Cloud talks about a lot in his book, Changes That Heal. But basically, it's thinking of other Christians, if they're doing something differently, thinking, oh, that is just not the best way to do it, and so we bash them. Or thinking, if we agree with somebody, thinking that is awesome, they are just incredible, or if somebody's ministry is succeeding, they're incredible. But not only in a ministry standpoint do we think like this, we also think like this in terms of just people in general, and can tend to put people on pedestals and forget their sin, or the other way around. We can see them in terms of thinking they are all bad because maybe they've done something to hurt us. And this week in 1 Kings chapter 3, I find it fascinating in verse 6, when Solomon is talking about his dad, David, who I guess you could say comes from a really weird family relationship. All right, his mom was Bathsheba and his dad was David. And the reason that Solomon even exists is because of the sin of David. All right, so that's his background. He knows exactly what happened, that David had Uriah killed, and therefore was able to marry his mom. But yet here in verse 6 he said, and Solomon said, you have shown great, he's talking to God, he says, you have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and uprightness of heart toward you. Right? How amazing is that he's able to see the good as well as acknowledge the bad. And it's challenging to see other believers in that same way, to see that they are righteous because of what Jesus did for them, not because of their own effort of being perfect. And I think it's a great reminder to think about who in your life are you kind of frustrated with, or who has hurt you. And if they're believers, think through the things that are true about them, the things that God says are true about us, how we're holy and pure and blameless, are also true about them. And how we need to be very careful to not bash other believers, because in John 13 it talks about that people will know Jesus is Lord. They'll know that we're his disciples by our love for one another, all right? Not by our bashing each other and pointing out each other's flaws publicly or something, but they'll know our love. And that doesn't mean that we always have to agree with everybody, but love is unselfishly choosing to do what's in another's best interest. So by our love, by doing what's best with that other Christian that is so easy to bash, we really need to not, and to choose to do what's in the best interest, so that God would be glorified. All right, I hope you enjoy your reading this week, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.